Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Wrestling Podcast. It's time to discuss our favorite 2 hours of the week, Impact Wrestling. Yes, we are back. I promised I would try and review it more, and I am back. I am a little bit late, but I have fulfilled my promise. I am Aaron Nix, and joining me to discuss Impact Wrestling is Canada's finest, and of course, the North's greatest cheerleader of his own right, the Maple Leaf Magician, Kyle Wilkinson.
And there's so much to talk about with these two gentlemen right here. Can we just start with that? I don't want to go in order.
Start with
I need to start with this
shenanigans
because it's ridiculous.
We were promised the return of the phenomenal one, and we sort of got that in the wee nominal one. Ethan Page has been really running through the mill lately. It seems like he can't just do anything right. Poor old Josh Alexander doesn't know whether he's coming or going with this guy. But they are by far and away the most entertaining portion for me of Impact. And also, we don't get enough of them. And I kind of like that. I only get a little taste of how fun Ethan Page is and how good Josh Alexander makes. Oh, he's such a bloke. He's such a geezer. He's such a man. I love him so much. He's, for me, the most underrated wrestler in the world. He's so fucking good. And Ethan Page is hysterically good fun. He's wildly entertaining. There's a reason he's all ego, because he's out of control. And because of that, he's money. He took out the big man himself, didn't he, LG, and it bit him in the ass this week. So, of course, the tag team champions are only one half. So Carl Anderson calls upon Hornswoggle. Indeed, the wee nominal one has returned to Impact Wrestling.
AJ Swoggles,
and he rolls up Ethan Page for the win. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Ethan Page, albeit with a small amount of shenanigans, I'm really sorry, Ethan, loses to the wee nominal one. I bet you loved everything about this, didn't you?
I shouldn't have, but I did. Because, I mean, we all know AJ is one of my favorites of all time. I've never hated Hornswoggle. Some of the stuff he did in WWE was dumb. The fact that he was the last cruiserweight champion until WLC with El Torito, that was fucking brilliant. The small refs and the small commentators, it was amazing.
Oh, the commentators were incredible. Take me back.
But the fact that he was the last cruiserweight champion until 205 Live and the COC came back, I was like, CWC, sorry. I'm like, oh, that's not cool. But you know what? He's done a lot of things since. Like he looked like AJ Styles, like that. Like they didn't have to do anything. He just looks like that already with like the goatee and like the hair and the little gloves. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ! I shouldn't love this, but I do.
Honey, I Shrunk the phenomenal one. Yeah, no, I thought I was going to hate this. And especially if you'd said to me, right, because this is classic, WWE fans are going to be like, so if that happened to WWE, you fucking hate it. Yeah, there's a big difference here. Impact isn't WWE. It's stalled out of something entirely different. They like the wackiness. And that's why I love Impact, right? Because I get the great wrestling. I get the underrated talents. I get phenomenal ideas, but I also get the wackiness and the humor. Wrestlers Court, which we're about to discuss. And Impact does that so well. Impact doesn't try and pretend to be a serious wrestling show, even though it has parts that are serious. Impact very much says, hey, we want everyone to enjoy our show. If you like your stupid carny shit, we got some of that. If you like your serious hardcore technical wrestlers, we got ourselves a little bit of that. A little bit of deathmatch, a little bit of hardcore, a little bit of good tag team stuff, women's empowerment. It is all here under one roof. And you may not get as much of it as you'd want, aka the North, but you always get at least a little bit. And that's what I love about it, because if you're a huge, like, I love the North, right? I think they're lights out amazing. And it's a shame I haven't jumped on a bandwagon earlier. For me, I love the fact that I don't get enough of them, because that means that I'm still hungry for it every week. If this was WWE, they'd be like, the fans love it. Give them 50 minutes of it. And it would just be saturated, and it wouldn't be organic, and it wouldn't be fun, and you wouldn't enjoy it as much. And that's what Impact does. Impact never, ever saturates you with anything, and I love that. I appreciate that. They respect their audience, and they don't insult you as well. When I'm watching it, I never feel like they're insulting my intelligence. They're just trying to make me laugh. They're just trying to make me smile and trying to make me feel in some way or another. So many things here that are in play, and this angle is the absolute perfect example of that. And I should have been like, God damn it, a fucking small person rolled up Ethan Page, and instead I'm like, ha! The wee nominal one gets a win. Please don't kill me karate, man. It was great. Josh Alexander's reactions, Ethan Page's facials are the best in the business. Oh my God. honestly, as a budding wrestler myself, as somebody training, I look at Ethan Page, I think, oh, I've got so much to learn about the facial expressions, the reactions. His face is just, even the way he's talking to Carl Anderson when Carl Anderson's on the mic, and he's just like, somebody did it, and he's like open, he's like, yeah, baby, look at my abs. It's like, oh, you're so fucking good, mate, so fucking good. I love him. The North are fantastic, very excited. Just one of many crazy things to go down on one of my favorite episodes of Impact in recent memory. It has to be said. Let's talk about Wrestlers Court. This deserves a lot of time. It needs some time. So Johnny Swinger was he was suggested to be the gunman, the man who shot down John E. Bravo. And that's why Wrestlers Court came about. Madison Rain, by the way, as his lawyer. I love this. Absolutely phenomenal. There were so many good little nods to Smarks and Dumb Heel Wrestling. There was, name drops, like Ron Simmons was name dropped. By the way, DeLorean Brown. One of my favorite things ever. D'Lo Brown, of course, takes the judge's position because Tommy Dreamer, you're not fit to do this. I've warned you, Tommy. You're not doing this properly. You're not taking this seriously. I had, of course, Rosemary down as one of the killers. That was probably my favorite. I believe you had Jessica Havoc, did you not?
No, I had Taya Valkyrie.
You had Taya Valkyrie. See,
yeah.
Well, it turns out we were both wrong, technically, because there was the confession. So apparently, Larry D, who I believe is the other one of the Deaners, is that correct?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's one of the Deaners.
Yeah, so he turns out as Lawrence D, the Love Machine. I haven't seen this before. Turns out, apparently, once that... What's that? He sprays it and he turns and he's like, he just couldn't handle the idea that he wanted to be another Rosemary, so he shot Johnny Bravo, who turns up, by the way. I did really liked it at the beginning as well, when Scott D'Amore's at his bedside and he's like sitting in the bed and the beepers are going off and it's clearly not a hospital, which makes it even funnier to me. And he goes, yes, John Emmett Brown. And he just looks and goes, didn't expect that. Didn't know his middle name. Nobody did until now. He turns up and then he gets pulled by the IV drip cord as well by Tommy Drew. He's like, get over here. He's like, oh. It's like everything's so funny, so amusing. Falabar, sitting at the play AC Romero as well, and he's like, did you take the fingerprints? And he's like, well, he's like, you're an expert in fingerprints, are you not? He's like, no. But you asked me to. So he's like, did you find any prints? He's like, yeah, I found the prints on there. I found Johnny Bravo's prints, and it was like, oh, and I found Tara Valkyrie's prints and Rosemary's prints, and then he just starts to name it Greg Valentine. What the fuck? Like all these random people. It was just fun. It was so much fun. It made you laugh in a time when you need a fucking smile. And absolutely, if this was done on AEW or WWE, I'd probably turn my nose up a little bit at it. But that's because they don't have the people who can do it properly anyway. This is where Impact's wheelhouse is. Being funny, being entertaining. I actually think they do sports entertainment better than the other two brands do. I think they give us the carny stuff, but they do it in such a way that you like it. Like I say, they don't take themselves that seriously at times, and they never try and pretend that they are. And that's why I like it. And also, you look at something like Kurt Hawkins' gimmick. I didn't kind of think I didn't think much of it at first. I was like, whatever, it's Kurt Hawkins. But it actually works really well because his gimmick is, I don't like all your dumb carny shit. I'm here to be a serious wrestler. Works perfectly in this environment. So much better than it would in one of the other environments. I like it. I really do. But it turns out Lawrence D is the man who shot Johnny Bravo. Were you hoping for something else? Or are you okay with this somewhat strange ending?
I definitely have faith that I think it could go somewhere fun. It's definitely not what I expected because the Deaners are just so fucking random.
I really like Cody. I think Cody's really underrated. I think he's really funny.
Like
a malnourished James Storm.
I think this could work. I have faith in Impact to do it because, like you say, they don't take themselves seriously because they don't need to. Like, I think they know they're not as popular as AEW, WWE, whatever. They never really have been, regardless of rebranding or whatever, but they're still so much fun, and this is a perfect example of it. Like, we're probably going to get some sort of crazy bonkers match later for some reason, and they'll somehow make it work. they always
on a
end up
whole
making
match.
it work. No matter how stupid it might start, they always somehow make it work.
Going to be a match for the Second Amendment rights. I dread to think. I do. I like it. It's carny. I love the introduction of James Mitchell. He's talking about virgin blood. And he's like, James Mitchell, are you qualified? Do you have any specific qualifications? He's like, well, I do have PhDs in demonry and all this stuff. I'm like, I love him. He's so good, man. I, no shame. I've tried to get him on the podcast a few times. He's actually been very gracious to us and very nice to us, even though I haven't pestered him, but I've messaged him a couple of times. And I would love to chat to James Mitchell because he is all time one of my favorite ever characters and personalities of the wrestling world. He has so much still to offer, and he's still so good. And you see all this nonsense, right, with cinematic stuff, particularly in WWE, and you think, oh, can you imagine if James Mitchell was doing all of that stuff for WWE or AEW, mate? Killer. I don't know. Impact is the house where cinematic wrestling really was born, so they're probably very excited about this. I also like the fact that there's concurrent storylines because, of course, Deonna Purrazzo and Kimberly approached James Mitchell and asked, they made a deal with the devil, and as you know, you don't make a deal with that devil. And it'd be interesting to see what happens. Are they going to get Susie? Are they going to get Sue Young? Who, by the way, their editing's actually really fucking good, isn't it? Did you see the ending of that match? So first of all, right, Killer Kelly's on Impact Wrestling. As if I couldn't love this show enough, they pick up arguably one of the hottest prospects in all of women's wrestling, Killer Kelly, and of course, I forgot her name now. Is it Renee? I forgot
Renee
her second
Michelle,
name.
I think.
Renee Michelle, yeah, who I believe is married to Drake Maverick, isn't she?
Yeah, good for him.
Not that matters. Yeah, good for him indeed. You lucky bastard. But she's also a very credible athlete in her own right. And that'll probably be the last time I ever mention that because she deserves to be mentioned on her own pedestal. Her being at ringside for Killer Kelly, versus Kimberly, that's fantastic. And that's your throwaway women's mid-card match. Their women's division getting stronger and stronger, and of course, at the end of this match, I love the fact that Susie comes out and she's just like, oh, we're not alone, and she's like proper like sketch. I think she's so adorable. I kind of find myself very much attracted to Susie, which is terrifying. Even Sue Young, actually. So don't kill me, Rich Swan, because I know that's your missus. By the way, Rich Swan must have a great time with those two. Must have a great time at home. Jesus Christ.
Those three, wink, wink.
Very nice. I like it. I like the direction of everything that they do. Do you know what I love about Impact, right? I'll watch AEW and it's okay sometimes, and other times it pisses me off. And the same with WWE. Whenever I watch Impact, right, after, for instance, I'll watch Raw Monday night. So I watch Impact on Tuesday night, and it just kind of smacks me in the mouth and takes me completely away from everything I expect. Anything I expect to get an Impact, I don't. And I love that. I have no idea what the fuck they're doing half the time. And that makes me really happy and excited. And obviously keeping with the women's division, the women's tag team titles. What do you think of this lineup as well? What do you think about the fact that Jazz is going to be with Jordan Grace? Oh,
if they don't win,
yeah,
I have some questions.
Yeah.
I know Jazz was thinking about like retiring last year, and then COVID hit, so I'm not exactly sure. But I think she's doing like a final lap, I guess.
Please don't retire until I've seen you in person, please.
There.
I love you. I love Jazz. She's amazing. Jazz is everything I always thought. Do you know what? Jazz was the first women's wrestler I saw break out of the mold, along with China. I think everyone remembers China, and rightfully so. China is a legend. But Jazz was in ECW, wrestling the men, kicking ass. She is the hardest woman on the block. And her legacy as one of the all-time greats deserves to be remembered rightfully. So that's a Hall of Famer we're talking about. And her with Jordan Grace should be running this. They should be running the table, shouldn't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, if I expect them to make it to the finals for sure. Depending on who the other team is, I would still say they're going to win, because how could they not? These two ridiculously beautiful powerhouses are going to just murder you on the way to these titles.
My body's ready for it.
Yeah, that's what I want. I think that's what everyone should want. And if you guys don't want it, you could tell me who you want down in the comments, but you'll be wrong.
You are wrong. Tasha and Kiera, of course, knocked off the Sea Stars, who were okay. It was nice to see some fresh faces, obviously. This tag team division, if nothing else, has been a good opportunity to bring in other people. Of course, Renee Michelle and Killer Kelly are tagging up as well, which I quite like the look of. I just love Killer Kelly. I think she's fucking incredible. I've seen her so many times live as well. I'm very blessed to have seen her over here quite a lot. And obviously, she was quite a decent part of the NXT UK brand for a while until she opted out of it and decided, you know what, I'd take my chances elsewhere. And it's nice to see her free again and, you know, running where she wants to run. But this division looks quite good. Tenille Dashwood, not really working out who her partner is. Didn't work out with Madison Rayne. Didn't work out with Jordan Grace. Possibly going to have another crack with Alicia Edwards, who is so freaking adorable. So adorable. Do you know what I love about their women's characters? No other company is able to make you care about their women as well as they do. And I think NXT, right, has the best women's division, hands down, in the world. I think WWE's women are incredible. But you are hard pushed to find yourself liking women more than you do on Impact. How likable is Alicia Edwards? You know, how adorable is Susie? You know, Kylie Ray, when she was on that roster, was freaking adorable. Madison Rayne is just so good. Each one of them is so good from a character standpoint. You know, Taya Valkyrie is just something entirely different. Just when you think you got her peg, she's gone into this uber diva mode. Rosemary is just so wild and out there. Like that, you know, Sue Young, Susie, whoever you want to look at it, each one of them has such a depth. Deonna Purrazzo has just come to life in this company. You know, NXT had no idea what they were doing with her. Here she is in Impact, and she just feels so much more legitimate, but she's also more beautiful. She feels more like a star. Just everything about her. I think that women shine brighter in this organization than they do elsewhere. I really admire Impact for that. They empower their women, and they make them a very prominent part of their product, and I love that. I absolutely love that. And do you know what makes me laugh is the fact that AEW's women's division is trash, okay? And the women aren't trash, but their division is trash and the booking is trash. And Impact, right? They don't have, for me, at least when they started in particular, they don't have that much better talent. But they know what they're doing. They've made their talent much better. There's the difference because they're willing to just push forward with it. Oh, Kiera Hogan, you know, when she started, just felt a little bit, not lackluster, but a little bit quiet, you know, nice little baby face, whatever. Now look at her. The amazing potential, the look, the attitude, the sass, everything has grown because she's been given the opportunity and afforded the opportunity to grow. That's something that other companies don't do as well. NXT does that fantastically, to be fair. But I'm looking at AEW, and I hate to bang on at them because obviously we'll cover Dynamite. But I'm sorry, how can you even suggest that AEW is even close to any other company when it comes to women? And Impact, once again, puts a nail in their coffin in that regard with their fantastic women's division.
Yeah, it's just insane. They just, like, WWE, you're right, still has the best women's roster, I think. They've got the best book division. They've got just the best women, hands down. But
As
Impact,
they should, really.
I mean, yeah, you'd hope so. But Impact just does such an incredible job with what they have. They can cultivate their own stars. That's Impact's biggest strength, is they cultivate their own stars. They take them, they crush them down into the diamond that they can be. And I mean, AEW doesn't do that. They just bring in a whole bunch of brand names. And they have a few, to be fair, you know, like, I guess Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara, like they're doing some things with homegrown talent. But Impact's been doing this, you know, since 2002 when they started.
Yeah.
Sure, they, like, you have to bring in some big names. I get that, but Impact was pushing homegrown stars by, like, before the end of their first year. Whereas you look over at AEW, you know, their only two world champions are former WWE guys. Like, they're former tag champs there are WWE guys. I understand you need that name, but you do have to start pushing the guys you brought in specifically, like, for your company that really haven't had that much exposure. And Impact's always been really good at doing that.
Yeah, the stars really should come in to help benefit the foundations that you've built with the younger homegrown talents. That's how it should be. They should help elevate the marquee so that you can put that homegrown talent on the marquee. That's the idea. And don't get me wrong, Impact lost their way for a long time. And for a long time, it felt like Impact Wrestling was the land where you kind of went to die as a wrestler. You know, you just went there for a quick payday, and then you either went back to WWE and made some decent money like Jeff Hardy did, or you just kind of fizzled out and nobody cared about you. That's not the case anymore. Now, all of a sudden, for me, Impact Wrestling, particularly in the last couple of years, has become the land where, irregardless of where you've been, whether you've been in higher marquees, or if you've been at the lowest end of the indies, this is where you can come. This is a star-making factory in a lot of ways for me. This is where you come to find out who you truly are at your best. I believe that. You may end up taking that talent and then fulfilling yourself more. For instance, here's a good example. Drew McIntyre, okay, turns into Drew Galloway, comes back to the British Indies, completely forgotten in WWE as part of three-man band, works his way back to Impact, finds himself grafting away, becoming their champion. And because of that strength, and because of the fact that he was noticed on that platform, he then is able to propel himself back to where he was originally in WWE. And you know what? I'm sure if you asked him, he would say that the time that he spent in Impact Wrestling was really beneficial to helping him push himself back to where he belonged, which is at the top of the marquee in WWE. And now look at him, he's world class. And you can honestly say Impact had a great hand in making Drew McIntyre who he is right now. And that's fantastic. It doesn't always work. EC3 should have been fantastic. Unfortunately, because he was a homegrown talent, so to speak, I feel like WWE took the opportunity to shit on him and make an example of him. But there are so many guys. Samoa Joe flourished over there. AJ Styles flourished over there. Roderick Strong, you know, people forget he was actually in Impact for quite a while, around 2004, 2005. You know, Austin Aries actually flourished over there. People don't want to admit that, but his stuff with 205 Live and the Cruiserweight Championship run he had running up against Pac, obviously, it was Neville at the time. That was great stuff, great TV. Fans want to be shitty. They want to just say, yeah, this is TNA. And that's all it'll ever be. No, it's not. It's now Impact Wrestling. It doesn't feel like TNA to me. There is no Russo. There is no Dixie Carter. There's no Hulk Hogan or Eric Bischoff. There's no fucking massive egos. There's Scott D'Amore and Don Callis working their ass off, trying to give these people opportunities. And do you know what I love? I think what really made me realize that Impact was a really good fucking wrestling company was when they came out and they released that press statement, didn't they? And they said that if you come here and you create a gimmick, or even if you come in with a gimmick, we don't care if you leave with that gimmick. You know, Don Callis was very he was very humble about that, and he was also very honest about that when he said that we're not going to control people's gimmicks. You know, like for instance, Killer Kelly, she's able to come in as Killer Kelly. She doesn't come in as some other obnoxious dumb name. They allow people to maintain their identities and then take those identities further on. And I know AJ Styles especially is going to probably, you know, it's soured for him a lot. And I understand that. You know, he was really dumped on at the end of his run in Impact. And he said, fuck this. I've had enough. I'm going to NJPW. But that isn't the culture anymore in Impact Wrestling. And I really wish people would sit down. Ironically enough, if it became huge, it would probably end up kind of taking a downturn, wouldn't it? Because all of a sudden they'd have to do things to compete or be a viable alternative because they are, you know, do you know what they feel like? They feel like ECW when they were in their heyday. Not the style of wrestling, obviously, but I mean from the cultural mentality and the business mentality. They're the underdogs that we're all rooting for. They're the underdogs that we all want. You know, they may only get 500 or 600 people packed in, but those people really want to see that product. Those people are passionate about that product. And every single person, whether they are a world-class superstar or just some indie no name, you know, from a low level, every single person that works at Impact wants to give you their very best. And that's what I love about it. And I think there isn't a single person in Impact now that I look at and think, oh, fuck off. You know, there are guys and girls that I see, especially on AEW and WWE, where I think, oh, I'm not watching that, fast forward, whatever. I don't fast forward anything in Impact. And I love and appreciate every single person. I must admit, I don't really know what's going on with the Sami Callihan dynamic and the what looks to be, I'm sure this man is very hard and I'm sure he's got a great name for himself somewhere. I have no clue who he is. He reminds me a little bit, though, of Stan Hansen, which can't be a bad thing because Stan Hansen was a fucking god. Obviously, he's not on that level, but he does seem to have that similar kind of look. You know, the jeans and the big old fucking muscle and the lariat and that. But it's not for me. I don't hate it, but it's not for me. I don't really want to see Ken Shamrock in the main event. You know, he had a good match with Rich Swann for what it was, and I must admit, I love Rich Swann. as your world champion. And I love the African American dynamics as well with Willie Mack. You know, Willie Mack's kind of on his shoulder, isn't he? He's the good guy. He's his angel on his shoulder looking out for him. And then on the other side, you got this annoying shitbag devil in Chris Bay, who, by the way, is so good, so talented. Chris Bay is the kind of guy I'd expect to see turn up at NXT and just become a bit of a star from that. He's got a lot of charisma, that kid, and he's wildly talented in the ring. I love all the things in place, the dynamics of it, but I'd like to see them nail down something a little stronger for their main event, because I'm not really feeling Sami Callihan, who's kind of been running around as a scrub for a while and has really struggled since OVE. I'm not feeling him as the main event heel against Rich Swann. That's just my personal opinion. And I love Sami Callihan, but I want to see him tap into the darkness. And I feel like he needs more legitimate pieces around him, as opposed to kind of half-assed things with people like Ken Shamrock or whoever this big heavy-set guy is. Hopefully this guy is going to be a more, mainstream kind of mainstay for him, a little bit like Fulton is to Ace Austin. So I don't know. What do you think when it comes to the main event level?
I mean, we had to watch Callahan, hit Eddie Edwards in the head with a bat again. Yeah. I understand that was his catapult to stardom.
Great editing, by the way, with the blood, because it immediately looked like he was busted open straight afterwards. There was, they'd obviously done something to change. Their editing's really on point, actually. Their video department needs a lot of love. I saw it. Sorry to interrupt you, mate. Like, obviously, the Su Yung thing as well, where it just changed so quickly that it actually looked like Su Yung, and you thought, wait a minute, I thought that was Su. Wait, is that the same person? I realized they'd edited it. Great job. Great job.
Oh, no, it was brilliant. But, back to the point at hand. You can't.
Back to the point in hand.
Lightning doesn't strike the same place twice. I don't think Callahan is going to jump off again after hitting Edwards in the head. It's just, I don't think it's going to happen. He's been kind of floundering.
I think that's why they did it.
It's not going to work though.
Do you think that's why they did it? Try and elevate him again?
I think so, because he's been kind of floundering
last time. You got to remember as well.
Last time was an accident, though, wasn't it?
It was an accident, but it was a legit bat shot to the face. It cracked open his face. He needed reconstructive surgery. So, I don't know. I just don't feel like it's a big money main event. It's not something I want to tune in for. I'll watch it and I'll enjoy it for what it is, but it's not something that's going to drag me to the program. I'm not thinking, geez, I must see Sami Callihan versus Rich Swann. I'd rather see Eric Young have another go.
I was just Sami Callahan's he's like a watered down Eric Young.
It's Eric Young who's got the big. Sorry, excuse me. It's Eric Young who's got the big.
Yeah. The big country boy.
Yeah, he's got the big Stan Hansen cosplay. Yeah. So, and obviously Sami Callihan's aligned himself with Ken Shamrock. I like Ken Shamrock, and he's no doubt a Hall of Famer, and he legitimately is in terms of Impact Wrestling. But I just think that I don't think he's very useful as an on-screen talent anymore. I feel like he's there to kind of drag a little bit of the MMA luster towards Impact. And that's fine, but not for me. And I love Ken Shamrock. When I was a kid, Ken Shamrock was the man. He was the man.
He was fucking terrifying.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was the world's most dangerous man. But I don't know why, but I don't want to be harsh. And God forbid if he saw this, because I love him. I really do. But I don't really care if he's on my screen or not. He's one of the few things I'm not that bothered about. I just feel that Sami Callihan has more, and we're not getting enough of it. I don't feel like we're getting the Sami Callihan that we had from a couple of years ago. The one who was truly on fire. When he wrestled Penta, in that Mexican death match. That for me was pinnacle Callihan. And then, of course, acting as the foil to Tessa Blanchard. And the way he spoke about, Sami Callihan, in a lot of ways, is so crucial to everything that Impact Wrestling is now. He was the guy who stood opposite Tessa Blanchard. He was the one who broke boundaries when he had that intergender match with her. The death matches he had with Penta. The fact that he brought in OVE, and I know that's sour because of, outside sources and things, but he brought so much to his product and so much vicious determination. And it kind of feels like he's on a downturn at the moment and we're waiting for him to come back up again. And it does feel a little forced right now. And again, Eddie Edwards as well. I love Eddie Edwards. I'm kind of getting a little bit bored with the Tommy Dreamer knockoff. I feel like there's more there. I don't just want to see him as the guy who swings a kendo stick. Of course I like him. Of course he's a great, good guy. And I love the fact that he was champion. I feel like he deserved to be champion. He has earned the opportunity to be called a champion, no doubt. And he's got an amazing career. And I love the Wolves as well. I thought the Wolves were really good. And, you know, I think Davey Richards moved on. And I'm really excited for that. I think he became a fully qualified fireman as well, which is fantastic stuff. But yeah, they're a little... I must admit, I'm more intrigued by Moose, who keeps turning up randomly backstage, and he's like, "Congratulations on being the second champion in this company." It's like he's so like he's still the delusional guy, but he's gone really dark with it. You know, he's like, you can see he's more brooding and more menacing, and I like that. I really like that. There's something about Moose that I think is just right there and ready to let out. I'm hoping it's going to lead to the clash of the titles. That's what we're going to get.
Yeah, we need like some sort of not necessarily unification, but winner takes all. Because I mean, the TNA Heavyweight Championship isn't, I don't think it's actually like a recognized championship. Like he has the physical belt, but I don't think it's like
Don't
an
come
actual
for us, Moose. Don't come for us.
thing. Yeah.
You're like, what?
Sorry,
if he hears this, he'll kill us. And I have no doubt that he will.
Yeah, getting that win over EC3 and kind of.
But we haven't seen since.
Over.
We haven't seen.
Yeah, I don't think so. No.
That's something I'm waiting for as well, because he could be really useful on this brand.
Yeah, just give us the inevitable Rich Swann Moose clash. Hard to Kill is in January. I'm assuming there's some sort of pay-per-view coming up within the next month or so. I don't know. Their pay-per-view schedule is kind of sketchy, so I don't actually know. But, I think they should definitely give us that sooner rather than later, just to kind of capitalize on the momentum Moose has.
Yeah. Yeah, no question. It feels like ever since his win over EC3, they don't really know what they're going to do with him. Or maybe they're just biding their time. But I have faith in Impact. I really do. And this week, once again, just entertained me. It was just so much fun. It really was. Any closing thoughts on Impact, mate, before we wrap it up?
No, I think we covered the points really well. Again, just want to reiterate that people just need to give it a chance. They need to remember this isn't what it was 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Give it an opportunity. You might like it. It's on Access TV in America. It's on Impact Plus as well, which you can get as a subscription via Fight TV. And it's also available on Twitch a lot of the time. I think it's still available on Twitch every week, or at least it was. Either way, there are many options to get it. And it's just the fact of just putting in that little bit of extra effort to watch it. And I think you'll like it. I don't think you'll be disappointed by it, guys. I like it. I really do. And like I've said, we're going to continue to try and cover it weekly now, hopefully. Obviously, depending on Carl Wilkinson and his massive schedule with all them juicy ladies of Canada. So if we can drag him away from the Fountain of Youth for just a moment, and I don't mean that Fountain of Youth, and we'll be very happy. But either way, I will be here to cover Impact, and hopefully Mr. Wilkinson will be joining me. Not much else to say, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Let us know if you do like it. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Set your notifications to on so you know when we're dropping videos, because we're going to be dropping a lot more. We're really going to be focusing on YouTube content going forward. We are still going to have an audio podcast available with the State of Wrestling address every week, and hopefully the return of Manic Monday soon, which of course is our retro review podcast where we look back at an era of wrestling and cover that in all its glory, completely unfiltered, uncensored humor, as you would expect from the WrestlePlug. But it's nice to sit here and be super positive about wrestling as we are with Impact Wrestling. So give it an opportunity. If you want to support us, buy a t-shirt, wrestleplug.bigcartel.com. WrestlePlug's Pro Wrestling Tee store, of course, is also available, prowrestlingtees.com/WrestlePlug as well. That's your better bet if you're from North America and you want an opportunity. Each store has different t-shirts as well, which is really cool. So check them both out if you can. And obviously, spread the word. Let people know. If you like this, if you think, hey, these guys aren't too bad, I can tolerate the Canadian and British connection, give us an opportunity and you might be surprised. But we will be here, and hopefully we are providing a little bit of entertainment to help you pass your day. From myself, Aeron, and from Carl Wilkinson, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll catch you very soon for more content from the WrestlePlug.